Hello, this is the Bible History School. This is the 24th session of Revelation and World History. At our Bible History School, we are serializing Revelation and World History in 12 chapters. We have completed Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3 so far. In addition, the Bible History School is currently serializing Bible a Day to Great Acclaim. We are uploading a short video summarizing the 66 books of the Old and New Testaments one chapter a day. We would appreciate it if you could subscribe together. If you just read the Bible, there are many parts that are difficult to read and understand. It is much easier to understand the content if you watch a video that fits the situation rather than just reading the sentences. We made it into sentences that even middle and high school students can easily understand. Even for ordinary people who have difficulty reading the Bible due to their busy daily lives, it is good to meditate on one chapter of the Bible every day. We hope that you will encourage your children, parents, friends, and neighbors to read the Bible. Your support and encouragement has given us a lot of strength in producing Revelation and World History. This video is a collection of the entire video, from Chapter 3, Sections 1 to 5, of Revelation and World History. Provided by the Bible History School. If you subscribe and set up notifications, you can continue listening to the lecture Revelation and World History. Hello. This is the 19th hour of Revelation and World History. We have now finished Chapter 2. Following Chapter 1 of Revelation and World History. In Chapter 1, we mainly explained the creation of the Red Empire, Babylon, and its shape. In Chapter 2, we learned about the rise and fall of this Red Empire. We learned that the Babylon that appears in the book of Jeremiah and book of Daniel of the Old Testament, and the Babylon that appears in the book of Revelation refer to the same object. In addition, it is historically proven that Babylon in the prophetic books refers to the Soviet Union. In this hour, we will start Chapter 3 and learn about the two-horned beast like a lamb, 666. Revelation and World History, Chapter 3. 666. Section 1. The two-horned beast like a lamb. To understand the reality of the revelation, we must know the true identity of the two beasts that appear there. One is the beast that came up out of the sea. The other is the identity of the beast that came up out of the earth with two horns. That is, the beast whose name is the number 666. Let's look at the words of Revelation chapter 13. Verse 11, Then I saw another beast, coming up out of the earth, and it had two horns like a lamb. And it spoke like a dragon. Verse 12, It exercises all the authority of the first beast before it, and causes the earth and its inhabitants to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Verse 13, It performs great signs, so much so that it makes fire come down from heaven on the earth, in the presence of men. Verse 14, It deceives those who dwell on the earth by the signs it had power to do in the presence of the beast, telling them to make an image to the beast, who had the wound by a sword and lived. Verse 15, It was given power to give life to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast could speak, and cause all who would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Verse 16, It causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads. Verse 17, It prevents anyone from buying or selling, except those who have the mark. The mark is the name of the beast or the number of its name. Verse 18, Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Revelation chapter 13, verses 11 to 18. The beast, that came up out of the sea, had 7 heads. The true identity of the 7-headed beast was discovered in the Soviet Union. From the time the Soviet Union was established until its dissolution, exactly 7 supreme rulers sat on the throne. Also, the Soviet Union was established in 1922, and lasted exactly 70 years, until its dissolution in 1991. The 10 horns were the Commonwealth of Independent States. The 10 new countries that would be created after the destruction of this beast nation, the Soviet Union. The text teaches us that the horns also mean kings. However, it is important to find out whether there are multiple kings who will arise from one country or multiple countries that exist at the same time. The beast coming up from the earth is a single beast with 2 horns. In other words, we need to find a nation with a history ruled by 2 powerful people. It exercises all the authority of the first beast before it, and causes the earth and its inhabitants to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Revelation chapter 13, verse 12. Judging from the fact that this beast exercises the authority of the first beast and causes them to worship the first beast, we can see that it is a country that is very closely related to the first beast. If the first beast was the Soviet Union, we can guess that this country is one of the satellite countries of the Soviet Union. There is a reason why this beast was more notorious than the beast from the sea. That is, he caused all who did not worship the image to be put to death. And he prevented those who did not receive the mark on their right hand or forehead from buying or selling. 666 is also the most controversial part in the interpretation of the book of Revelation. Many people equate this 666 with the Antichrist. They interpret it as the Antichrist appearing in the end times, and the era of great tribulation will come. Depending on the interpretation, it was sometimes expressed in various movie forms. One of them is that a child with a mark corresponding to 666 somewhere on his head or body is born. And that child will grow up to become the Antichrist and open an era of terror to the entire world. The movie, The Omen, is also this type of movie. All of these interpretations stem from a misunderstanding of the text. The only clue to the identity of this beast is the number of its name, which is 666. If we summarize the lectures we have given so far in chapters 1 and 2, we can see the surprising fact that the description of the Babylonian Empire, recorded in the text of the prophecy, and the actual appearance of the Soviet Empire are exactly the same. Through this, it becomes clear that the prophecies about Babylon in the book of Revelation, Jeremiah, and Daniel are prophesying about the same history. We have confirmed the identity of the beast, with 7 heads and 10 horns, that rises from the sea. Among the 2 beasts that appear in chapter 13 of Revelation, it was the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union lasted for 70 years, and then disappeared. The 7 heads were the 7 supreme leaders of the Soviet Union. And the 10 horns are the Commonwealth of Independent States, which was newly established after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. In Revelation chapter 13, another beast appears. It is a beast, with 2 horns like a lamb, that comes up from the earth. The number of the name of that beast is the famous 666. In chapter 3 of Revelation and World History, we will reveal the identity of this 666. We ask for your interest and subscription. This was the Bible History School. Thank you very much. Hello, this is the 20th lecture of Revelation and World History. In chapter 13 of Revelation, two beasts appear. One is the beast that comes up from the sea, the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. And the other is the beast that comes up from the earth, the beast with 2 horns like a lamb. In chapters 1 and 2 of Revelation and World History, we discussed in detail the first beast, the beast that comes up from the sea. In chapter 3, we explore the identity of the second beast, the beast with 2 horns like a lamb, whose number is 666. Revelation and World History, Chapter 3, Section 2, Number of Names. First, we need to know what the number of names means. The number of names means that everyone has a name, and that name is written in letters like the alphabet. However, before Arabic numerals were introduced when expressing numbers, a method was used to express a specific number by assigning a unique number to each alphabet. The number was usually expressed by determining the order of the entire alphabet, assigning numbers in that order and combining the alphabets to represent the number that we want to express. Let's take English as an example. A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z. There are 26 alphabets in English. If we assign numbers starting from the first letter, A, it would be as follows: A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, F6, G7, H8, I9, J10. After attaching up to this point, the next time, instead of 11, 20 is assigned. K20, L30, M40, N50, O60, P70, Q80, R90, S100. T200, U300, V400, W500, X600, Y700, Z800. After assigning numbers in this order, we can combine the alphabets, as many as the number we want to represent. To express the number corresponding to 666, we can combine X, corresponding to 600, O corresponding to 60, and F corresponding to 6 and write it as XOF, and the sum of the numbers will be 666. When we say the number of people, there is an alphabet corresponding to the name of a person. And if we add up all the unique numbers assigned to each alphabet, we get the number of that person's name. For example, let's look at the case of Lenin. L30, E5, N50, I9, N50 are the numbers assigned to each alphabet. And if we add them all up, 144, that is, the number of Lenin's name is 144. However, in the case of Lenin, Lenin is actually a Russian person. So, it would be difficult to substitute the numbers assigned to Lenin in the order of the English alphabet. Also, Lenin's real name is Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov. Russian names are in the order of first name, patronymic, and surname. And the question of whether to include the patronymic in the name is included. When faced with such a complex problem as the Old Testament written in Hebrew, the New Testament written in Greek, and the emperors of the Roman Empire who spoke Latin, it is not easy to actually find a ruler with the number of the name 666. However, if the beast from the sea is compared to the Soviet Union, this beast from the land will also be very closely related to the Soviet Union. So, if we search within the boundaries of the satellite states of the Soviet Union, the scope will be much narrower. In other words, it is a fact that, if the beast from the sea changes, the beast from the land will inevitably change as well. Another problem with interpretation is that, This number of names is the number of names of two people, not one. The fact that there are two horns means that there are two powerful people. The beast with the number 666, introduced here, suggests a country with two horns, that is, two powerful people. Has there ever been a country on earth with a ruler whose number of names of two horns, that is, two rulers, summed up to be 666? That country is North Korea, ruled by the father and son of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. They have names written in Korean. Therefore, we should match the number of names by substituting the numbers given according to the order of the Korean letters. However, unlike the English alphabet, Korean has vowels and consonants listed separately. Vowels: a, ya, eo, yo, o, yo, u, u, I. It's 10 letters like this. Consonants: g, n, d, l, m, b, s, ing, j, ch, k, t, p, h. There are 14 letters like this. Here, we must be careful when assigning 1. When writing, consonants are written first. However, the names of those sounds are divided into vowels and consonants. In other words, the vowel, which is the mother letter, must come before the consonant, which is the sonorous letter. When pronouncing, it is the same principle that consonants alone cannot make sounds without vowels. And vowels are required to make sounds. So, if you number the vowels first in Korean, it would be as follows: A1, Ya2, EO3, Yo4, O5, Yo6, U7, U8, U9, I10. G20, N30, D40, L50, M60, B70, S80, ING90, J100. CH200, K300, T400, P500, H600. Here, in the case of a double vowel, for example, A, can be seen as having a value of 13, which is the sum of 3 of EO and 10 of I. Let's calculate the number of names of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. Kim, G20, I10, M60. If you add these numbers, you get 90. Il, Ing 90, I10, L50. This is 150. Sung, S80, EO3, Ing 90. This is 173. If you add up all of Kim Il-sung's numbers, it becomes 413. The Kim in Kim Jong-il becomes 90 as above. Jung, J100, EO3, Ing 90, this is 193. Il is the same as above, 150. The number of Kim Jong-il's name is 433. In the above, the number of Kim Il-sung's name is 413. And Kim Jong-il's name is 433. So, if you add the two numbers, it becomes 846. It is not 666. There is another secret hidden here. A person's name is listed with both surname and name. A Korean surname indicates the person's place of origin and a specific clan. Kim Yu-sin refers to a person with the name Yu-sin from the Gimhae Kim family. Name usually means the combination of the surname and the given name. But in reality, the name excluding the surname is the name that refers to the person. If you say, David of the tribe of Judah, David is the person's name. If you say, Hyungju Kim, it can be seen as having a meaning similar to the term tribe of Judah. If we calculate the number of names, using only the names of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, excluding their surnames, it is as follows. Il is 150, Sung is 173, so Il-sung becomes 323. Jung is 193, Il is 150, so Jung Il becomes 343. If you combine Il Sung and Jung Il, we get 666. By adding the numbers of the names of Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il, we get the exact number, 666. Then, are these names the two-horned beast, rising from the earth, that appears in chapter 13 of the book of Revelation? The description in the text and the reality must match. Through the lectures on chapters 1 and 2 of Revelation and world history that we have done so far, we have confirmed the identity of the seven-headed and ten-horned beast that rises from the sea. Among the two beasts that appear in chapter 13 of Revelation, it was the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was ruled by 7 rulers and lasted for 70 years before disappearing. And when the Soviet Union collapsed, 10 new countries were established. In chapter 13 of Revelation, another beast appears. It is the two-horned beast, like a lamb, that rises from the earth. The number of the name of that beast is the famous 666. We have finally found the person whose name is the number 666. It was the Korean name of Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il, who ruled North Korea. We will continue to historically verify whether this person is the person recorded in the prophecy. Please show much interest and subscribe. This was the Bible History School. Thank you very much. Hello, this is the 21st lecture of Revelation and world history. In chapter 13 of Revelation, 2 beasts appear. One is the beast that comes up from the sea, the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. And the other is the beast that comes up from the earth, the beast with 2 horns like a lamb. In chapters 1 and 2 of Revelation and world history, we discussed in detail the first beast, the beast that comes up from the sea. In chapter 3, we explore the identity of the second beast, the beast with 2 horns like a lamb, whose number is 666. We have found actual historical figures whose names have the number 666. They are the Korean names of Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il. Not only do we match the number of names, but we are also verifying historically that the person matches the description in the prophecy. Revelation and World History, Chapter 3, Section 3, Idol Worship. He was given power to give life to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast could speak, and cause all who did not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. The second beast was said to have received power from the first beast. Kim Il Sung was given power by Stalin. When Japan was defeated, and the Korean Peninsula was trying to escape from Japanese colonial rule, the Korean Peninsula was cut in half by the intervention of the Soviet Army by Stalin. North and South Korea were divided by Stalin's Kim Il Sung, and the northern half of the Korean Peninsula became communist, and Kim Il Sung came to rule. And he caused all who did not worship the image of the beast to be put to death. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. In reality, in North Korea, where Kim Il Sung ruled, all those who opposed Kim Il Sung were purged or killed. No one who did not swear allegiance to and obey Kim Il Sung could survive within the North Korean regime. Refer to Choi Myung, Introduction to North Korea, Part 1, Chapter 2, Establishment of the Regime and the Process of Change. Kim Il-sung, who eliminated all opposition, that was an obstacle to the Kim Il-sung's one-man dictatorship. Eventually passed his power to his son, Kim Jong-il, making it the only hereditary succession of power in a communist country. He caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand, or on their foreheads. And no one was allowed to buy or sell, except one who had the mark. Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 17. North Korea was a thoroughgoing communist society, and everyone had to receive rations from the state to survive. Therefore, anyone who did not obey the system was purged, and could not survive in North Korean society. Getting a mark on the forehead means conforming to the North Korean system. And it can be seen as meaning the very act of swearing loyalty to leader Kim Il-sung. Make an image to the beast that was wounded by a sword and lived again. Revelation chapter 13, verse 14. The beast that was wounded by a sword and lived again basically refers to the Soviet Union. And Stalin, the representative leader of the Soviet Union, devoted all his energy to idolizing himself. Kim Il-sung, the leader of North Korea, who was put forward by Stalin, succeeded in creating a more thoroughgoing idolization system than Stalin. He deified Kim Il-sung and claimed that the leader is like the brain, the center of the social and political organism. And the people are like the physical organs that move according to the brain's instructions. Even after Kim Il-sung's death, North Korea still celebrates Kim Il-sung's birthday, April 15, as the Day of the Sun. This is a reference to Wang Jang-yeop's, the sunlight that has become the side of darkness cannot brighten the darkness. He performs great signs, so much so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the presence of people. And by the signs he had been given in the presence of the beast, he deceives those who dwell on the earth. Revelation chapter 13, verses 13 to 14. The fact that he performed great signs does not mean that he actually performed such signs. It is a metaphor for the fact that while creating and promoting the complete works of Kim Il-sung, to idolize Kim Il-sung, they exaggerated and propagandized all sorts of great achievements for the North Korean people. Kim Il-sung falsely propagandized that he could make bombs out of pine cones, cross rivers on fallen leaves, and have the ability to see 1,000 miles away. Kim Jong-il was no exception, propagandizing that, with a single wave of his mysterious baton, the East Sea can split. It can clearly illuminate the path, even in the harsh jungle. And he has the ability to hit all the penicillin bottles, lined up 100 meters ahead. This is a reference to Go Tae-woo's, North Korea's religious policy. He even created a children's book, called Baekdushan Jongsubiol, which he said was created to educate the growing generations with revolutionary traditions, and listed the following titles. General Kim Il-sung makes bombs out of pine cones and rice out of grains of sand. When General Kim Il-sung uses magic, the sky cries and the earth moves. General Kim Il-sung spreads a piece of paper on water and crosses the river. By including such content, they promoted the idolization of Kim Il-sung. As can be seen from the expression, General Kim Il-sung, who created the immortal Juche ideology, and is the son of the nation, is a god sent from heaven. Kim Il-sung is described as a divine being. This is a reference to Go Tae-woo's, North Korea's religious policy. The communist theory is no different. They widely propagandized that, if a communist state is established, it will become a heaven for workers and farmers, and a paradise on earth. They made people participate in the communist revolution, and believe that it will be established. North Korea, ruled by Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, has a history of completely suppressing churches within the country. North Korea is the only country in the world church's 2,000-year history that has completely destroyed every single official place of worship. Even the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe under Stalin were unable to completely wipe out the church. However, only the churches in North Korea under Kim Il-sung disappeared without a single place that officially displayed a chapel sign. It was not until the late 1980s that the Pyongyang Bongsu Church was established. This is a building built simply for show to the Western world. Also, the Chilgal Church, where Kim Il-sung's mother, Deaconess Kong Ban-sok, attended, has been rebuilt and is on display. The beast, with two horns like a lamb, that appears in chapter 13 of the book of Revelation. And the number of its name is the famous 666. We have finally found the person whose name is the number 666. It is the Korean name of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, who ruled North Korea. They are the people who, along with Stalin, strengthened their personal idolization. And they persecuted the church. When Korea was liberated from Japanese colonial rule, 2/3 of the Korean church members were in North Korea. The person who destroyed the North Korean church, which was called the Jerusalem of the East, is none other than Kim Il-sung. We will continue to historically prove whether this person is the person recorded in the prophecy. We ask for your interest and subscription. This was the Bible History School. Thank you very much. Hello, this is the 22nd lecture of Revelation and World History. In chapters 1 and 2 of Revelation and World History, we discussed in detail the first beast, the beast rising from the sea. In chapter 3, we explore the identity of the second beast, the beast with two horns like a lamb, with the number 666. We have found actual historical figures with the number 666. They are the Korean names of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. We are historically verifying that not only the numbers of the names match, but also their real identities match the descriptions in the prophecy. Revelation and World History, Chapter 3, Section 4. Are 666 and the Antichrist the same? One of the misunderstandings of those who interpret the book of Revelation is that they equate the person with the number 666 with the Antichrist. So they interpreted this Antichrist as the person who kills 1/3 of humanity. Also, in chapter 13, verse 15, the one who causes all who do not worship him to be killed, and the one who kills 1/3 of humanity, are equated. This is something that must be distinguished from the first beast that came out of the sea. And, when we finish interpreting the rest of the book of Revelation and the prophetic books, we will see the whole picture. If the people corresponding to 666 are Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, the oppression shown in the text refers to his influence within North Korea, the area he rules. Not only did Kim Il-sung purge all his political opponents, he also completely destroyed the North Korean church, which was called the Jerusalem of the East. He destroyed or repurposed all the churches that existed throughout North Korea until the liberation. And anyone who confessed to believing in Jesus was either purged or executed. At least in North Korean society, there was no one who publicly declared that they were Christians. The very few believers who still maintained their faith had no choice but to go underground. In the late 1980s, the Pyongyang Bongsu Church was created as a propaganda tool for the Western world. Those who attend the service are outward Christians. Other than that, there are only underground believers who worship without even a proper Bible. When the World Council of Churches delegation visited in 1985, the North Korean authorities announced that there were 10,000 Christians in North Korea. We referred to the third volume of History of Korean Christianity, published by the Korean Christian History Society. Even if we accept that number as it is, the number of believers in the South Korean Church, which has 10 million members, and the number of believers in the North Korean Church, which has 10,000 members, is only 1,000. During the Japanese colonial period, 2/3 of Christians were in North Korea. The current state of the North Korean Church can only be described as a miserable reality. We referred to Kim Hung-soo's History of the North Korean Church After Liberation. The fact that he resembles a lamb indicates that he succeeded in creating a one-man idol. And he earned the title of Comrade Kim Il-sung, the father of all people. Stalin was also once a seminarian. Kim Il-sung also tried to eradicate Christianity, even though he was born into a Christian family. We referred to Kim Hung-soo's History of the North Korean Church After Liberation. Killing 1/3 of humanity means that 1/3 of humanity will become communist. And this is accomplished by the beast coming out of the sea, the Soviet Union. 666 is the number of the name of the two-horned beast that comes up from the earth. The sum of the names of the two powerful figures, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, is 666. This refers to the historical fact that the North Korean Church in the country ruled by Kim Il-sung was completely destroyed. In other words, the beings that kill 1/3 of humanity are the Soviet Union and Stalin. And 666 is Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. These two countries are different beings. The process of 1/3 of humanity being communized by the Soviet Union is a history carried out by the beast coming up from the sea. What 666 does is persecute and exterminate Christians within the country he belongs to. And, in the book of Revelation, only the two beasts appear, and the concept of the Antichrist does not actually appear. We have come closer to the identity of the lamb-like two-horned beast that appears in Revelation chapter 13. We have finally found the person whose name has the number 666. They are the people who, along with Stalin, strengthened their personal idolization. And they persecuted the church. When the Korean Peninsula was liberated from Japanese colonial rule, 2/3 of the Christians were in North Korea. The person who destroyed the North Korean church, which was called the Jerusalem of the East, was none other than Kim Il-sung. Next time, we will look into the meaning of this name. Please show us your interest and subscribe. This was the Bible History School. Thank you very much. Hello, this is the 23rd lecture of Revelation and World History. Following the identity of the first beast that appears in chapter 13 of Revelation, we have also discovered the identity of the second beast. We have found a real historical figure who corresponds to the second beast, whose number is 666. Not only does the number of the name match, but it is also historically proven that its true nature matches the description in the prophecy. In this lecture, we will look into the meaning of the name. Revelation and World History, Chapter 3, Section 5. That day, and the meaning of the name 666. The day of the Lord will come, in that day. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 1. In the Bible, God recorded prophecies through prophets, and in the last days, all of those prophecies were fulfilled. The day when the prophecies are fulfilled is expressed as that day, or the day of the Lord. There are people or countries that appear on the day when the prophecies, written in the last days, prophecies are fulfilled. The most important one of them is the Soviet Union, the beast from the sea, corresponding to Babylon. And even more important is the two-horned beast from the earth, with the number 666. These two horns are Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. The number of the name is 666, and the meaning of the name also has a surprising meaning hidden in it. God prophesied about that day and said that he would surely fulfill what he had said. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. Isaiah chapter 37, verse 32. God says in several places, the zeal of the God of hosts will accomplish this. This means that God promised through the prophets that he would surely fulfill the words he had prophesied. However, surprisingly, the names of the rulers with the number of 666, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, have a surprising meaning, hidden in not only the number of the name, but also the meaning of the name. Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il. The Chinese characters corresponding to the names of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il contain their meanings. Il, day, sung, achieve, that day will be accomplished. Zung, right, il, day, the right day, that very day. It's truly amazing. The number of the names of Kim Il-sung and his son is 666. And the meaning of the name is that day will achieve, that very day. These are the people who destroyed the North Korean church, which was called the Jerusalem of the East. In the 2,000 years of world history, since the beginning of the history of the church, North Korea is the only ruler who has destroyed all Christians in his country. The Babylonian Soviet Union invaded the Korean Peninsula, and the dictator Kim Il-sung was put forward by him. And the historical facts of Christians being massacred in North Korean churches are recorded in the Book of Prophecy and the Book of Revelation. In Matthew chapter 24, Jesus said, referring to the temple, "Not one stone will be left upon another, all will be thrown down." If this temple building refers to the chapel of the church in the New Testament era, then this prophecy was fulfilled in the North Korean church, which was called the Jerusalem of the East. All of those chapels were destroyed or discarded for other purposes, without leaving an official sign. On that day, God will send them to fulfill the things he has spoken. We need to examine and confirm the Book of Revelation and the Old Testament prophecies in detail. With this lecture, we have finished the lecture up to chapter 3 of Revelation and World History. We have revealed the identities of the two beasts that appear in chapter 13 of Revelation. First, the identity of the seven-headed, 10-horned beast that comes up from the sea is the Soviet Union. This was explained in detail in chapters 1 and 2 of Revelation and World History. And we found a person whose name has the number of the two-horned beast coming up from the earth, 666. It was the Korean name of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, who ruled the northern half of the Korean peninsula. These are the people who, like Stalin, achieved personal idolization. And like Stalin, they persecuted the church. When the Korean Peninsula was liberated from Japanese colonial rule, 2/3 of the Christians in the Korean Peninsula were in North Korea. The person who destroyed the North Korean church, which was called the Jerusalem of the East, was none other than Kim Il-sung. This is not a small history. It is something that God planned. God prophesied through the prophets and John, and in due time, He accomplished all of these things. We must realize this fact more clearly. Next time, the lecture on Chapter 4 of Revelation and World History will begin. Let's learn about the number 144,000. You can continue listening to the lectures by subscribing and setting up notifications. This was the Bible History School.